Alright guys, you ready? So today we are doing a clay project, and you should have 3 pieces of clay. You should have this half circle, you should have this other flat piece of clay, and you should have a small chunk of clay. Now it's really important that you do not play with this. If you squish it like Play-Doh, you're going to add air to it, and then when we put it in the kiln, chances are it's going to blow up and it will ruin your piece of clay. So you just need to let it lay there until we get ready to use it. So you are going to take this piece of clay right here, and the first thing we do, you see where I cut it? It's got all these rough edges to it. If we leave these rough edges, when it dries and when I put it in the kiln, which is the big oven, it will cause really sharp edges when it comes out. And when it comes out as what's called bisqueware. And it's really hard, and then we're going to glaze it and turn it into ceramic, which is a glassware. It's a really cool process. But first thing, we have to get rid of all the rough edges. So you're going to have a little bit of water on your table in this bucket. You don't need a lot of water. You need a little bit on your finger, and you're going to smooth the rough edges with just a little bit of water. If you leave it laying on the table, you're going to stick it to the table. And if you use too much water, you're going to turn this clay right back into mud, and it's going to be really, really difficult to work with. So just a little bit of water all around every cut edge to smooth it out. You really want to try to avoid using too much. Once you go all the way around, you're going to put it down. Okay? You can wipe your fingers on the tablecloths that are on your tables. At the end of class, I will give you a baby wipe. Your hands are going to get filled with clay dust. You want to be very careful not to clap them together. It creates a dust that can be hazardous to our health, so we want to be careful that we just leave the clay dust on our hands. We don't want to get it on the floor. I will give you a baby wipe at the end of class as you're walking out the door to clean up with. Don't worry. Alright, so this half that we just smoothed out, we want to take a texture. You've got several options. You've got this little crocheted snowflake, you've got this netting, and you've got this plastic stuff. Any of these makes really good texture. Now, to get the texture, you want to press down on your clay, but if you press down too hard, you're going to make it flatten out. The clay is as skinny as it needs to be. As it dries, this clay gets very fragile, and it will break if it gets any thinner than what it is right now. So you want to be very careful. We're using the whole flat side of our fingers, and we're just going to press gently down, and then you pull it up and it reveals a little texture. Now it won't look like much right now, but after it comes out of the kiln and after we paint it, it's really amazing looking. So you're going to get all that done, and we don't have enough of these snowflakes for everybody to do it at one time, so you need to work quickly so that you can pass it down the table. Okay? Same with the other textures. We don't have enough for every single person to have one, so work quickly, pass them down the table. Okay, once you get that done, you're going to very gently turn this over, and right here, right in this little curve, you're going to take your pointy stick and you're going to put your initials very gently right there. Do not press down hard. Do not cut all the way through your clay. I also need you to put your class code, whatever that class code might be, right there, right here, not up here, not over here. You'll see why in a minute. All right, now we're going to join this side to this side by overlapping. And we're going to leave a little hole up here. So like a little teepee kinda. Okay? You want to make sure that the bottom part is even. And you can't just smush it down. So don't do that. Clay is not like Play-Doh. When it dries, this would come right apart. So what you need to do is you take your stick and you do what's called scoring. Wherever the clay touches, you make some marks. You rough it up on both pieces. Then you're going to take a little bit of water and you're going to rub it on there. This is called slip. So score and slip. It's like glue. Wipe off any extra. Now before you just smash it down, put some fingers in there and gently press. Now I've got 2 fingers inside and I'm pressing on the outside. Now I'm not smushing it, it's not joining together, it's not becoming one right there. Just putting some pressure on it, like that. And I want this to be able to stand up, like so. And if you want to kind of ruffle it down here, you can. Okay. And kind of tap it out at the top. And we're going to set that over there for a second. And I want you to take your clay, I want you to tear a small piece off of it. And the bigger piece, we're going to roll it into a ball. Okay, so we're not smushing it, we're not pulling it out and pushing it back together. You're just going to roll it into a ball. Don't put any water on it yet. Just get a nice smooth ball that we're going to sit right on top. Okay, now I don't want to cover this hole completely. The reason why is because if we cover this hole, we might cause this to explode. Okay, so we want to have a little breathing hole back here. So we want this area up here. Remember, when we attach 2 pieces of clay together, we have to score it on both places where we're going to attach it, and we have to slip it. Now you can't just press it down. You're going to gently press it down, but you're going to pick her up. Put some fingers on the inside and press down. You don't want to flatten her out too much, but you do want to make sure that she's on there. And again, you see that little hole I've got there? That's real important. Okay? Okay. Now this part, put it in your hand, roll your hands together to make a snake. You can put it on the table, make a snake. If you play with it too long, it's going to start drying out. You don't want to get it too skinny because it'll break. Form a little circle, and you may have more clay than what you need. If you do, just break it off. Score. Slip. Mush. And because we're using such little clay, a little bit of water goes a long way. Okay? If you have clay left over, I want you to put it in the middle of the table. We're going to use that later. So now, oh yeah, way too big. So I'm going to take some of this clay out, make it smaller. I'd rather it be too small than too big. That's better, even if it sits a little cattywomp. Okay, I'm going to score all the way around her little head. I'm going to score in here. Put some water, not a lot. And then I'm going to press down gently. Okay, I'm sure by now you can tell what we're doing, hopefully. Okay, so now turn her around to her back. You're going to take this extra piece of clay, on this little thing that looks like a heart. Every piece of clay this will fit on. You just have to work it around. You might have to flip it over. It will fit some way on your clay. You take your pointy stick, cut around it. Extra clay, wipe it off. Again, all the extra clay goes in the middle. I can use this again as long as y'all don't play with it, and I need to be able to use it again. You cannot take it out of the room with you. If you do, you don't ever get to do clay again because it will ruin the floors, okay? So now we have this cute little heart looking thing. Got to smooth those cut edges again. Shouldn't take you too terribly long. And then this is going to go on the back of her, okay? So we're going to score right down the middle. Don't need to put it on the edges. And then right down the middle of her dress. You need to rough it up pretty good for this. Slip, slip. And again, we're going to pick her up, put it right in the middle. And I like to put a thumb inside and press right in the middle. And I don't like to flatten the sides down. And I don't like to press too hard, but I don't want those wings to fall off as it dries either. And then you can kind of form them. And then right there, you see your name and your class code. And you're going to bring that to me. And we will let them dry. And what we're going to do is we're going to let them dry over the holidays. And then when you come back, we're going to glaze them. And I've already told your 4th grade teachers we're going to let you glaze them and give them to your mom, your grandma, your aunt, whoever, for Mother's Day. So you're already set for Mother's Day. That rocks. And then when she comes out of the kiln, that's what she'll look like. Okay? So this clay, this gray clay, dries, and when it fires in the kiln, it turns white. So you can see the texture that we put in there. And then I've got some glazes, which is another fancy word for paints, that you can paint them all one solid color and they turn out really shiny and pretty. So they're gonna rock. It's gonna be very cool.